Hey everyone, good morning, good to be here. Hilmar and I were talking a few days ago about how to approach this, and he said, let's do a random fireside chat so we can talk about whatever makes sense at the time. So I have probably 3 questions that are going to be very open-ended, and you can maybe answer them or maybe just talk about whatever you're going to talk about anyways.
Okay, sounds good.
So one time you told me a story about how one of the most pivotal moments in EVE came from a player defrauding a bunch of people, pissing off most of your community, your game almost going bankrupt, and then a story being written about that scam, and then all of a sudden EVE was back. And I wanted to start by asking you, when you think about the 22 years of EVE so far, and the luck versus skill spectrum, and how much of it has been, as you say, the business of staying in business versus these very random things that have made the business what it is today, how do you think about luck versus process?
So I don't really think it never really felt like luck. It felt more like, okay, there's some intuition about something, and now you're like faced with like a fork in the timeline. Like, are we going to go that way or this way? And when these moments come to you, they don't have any instruction manual. There's no real kind of way to do it. And I think it's largely been, this one just feels right. And then you go that way. And that is kind of how you prove whether your intuition is correct or not. Obviously, this creates massive survivor bias. This is not a very helpful, teachable moment of like, okay, here's a process to figure out what is right, etc. But I mean, this is generally why it's hard to start up new things and whatever. You're generally just wrong, and then there is survivor bias, and some people come through it. So I think at some point, we just had this murky idea of what we wanted to create. We wanted to create this world that was kind of belonging to the players that were playing it. And I mean, EVE Online often is called like a Web3 game before there were Web3 games or even ideas of it, because we very much wanted to abdicate as much as could be done to the players and make the game kind of operate as if it was a real world. So every time these moments came, and there were several moments, we just always came back to that. Okay, in this case, here's a person. That person defrauded 500 people inside the game because they had joined their corporation, gained trust, moved to the top, got in the keys to the coffers, and then took all the assets away. And when it came time to decide, should we undo it, which we easily could have done, we could have just rolled back the server state, and now it's like as if it didn't happen. It just felt wrong because, okay, we will have broken the world. Like the timeline of the world would have been broken. And that was kind of the reaction of like, okay, we can't really interfere, even if we can. It just feels wrong because the world should, and the community should somehow resolve it themselves. And then just to fill you in on the details of the story. So these 500 people, they quit the game in protest of us not doing a very simple action of just rolling back one day or even just printing the money and giving it to them. And the game at the time was teetering on profitability. So 500 people stopping playing the game out of a player base of 30,000 people was the difference between the company being profitable and losing money. So when those people leave, our revenue drops, we're now losing money, we don't have a lot of money to lose. I now need to fire 10% of the company, which was 3 people, not to over-dramatize it. It was still 10%, and some of them were childhood friends. And then, like, okay, there was revolt with the players, now there's revolt with the employees. Hilmar, this is stupid. Like, just make the change. And it was just, no, it's not how it works. I can't explain it. It just feels wrong. We're staying the course. And then a few months later, PC Gamer writes 8 pages about the first heist in an MMO and how it all played out and all that. And 5,000 people joined because they want to belong to a world where the nanny is not always watching. And it wasn't like a very meticulous, like, okay, let's sit around the table and make some very balanced decision of pros and cons and whatever. It was just, no, it feels wrong, we're not doing it. But Hilmar, the company will die. Yeah, we'll also die if we do it. So there is something like in that, and again, this is not very helpful because we are the people that that survived that path. So, but that is kind of how it is. You just have to go with your instincts, and then you just fail or you succeed, and trying to be very methodical and very recent and all that. I just don't think that is the exercise of trying to create something new that has never existed. You're so royally off the map anyway, you just have to, no, we're going north. Why? Because it's there. I know it. You just have to channel that.
Cool, thank you. Not very helpful, but very entertaining. So we were talking earlier today about how the meta of game distribution has shifted even in the last 3 years, and now you're 22 years in. Are there major seismic moments where you say 3 years ago this happened and we had to make a big change? When you think about the big process improvements or changes of direction that you've done in Eve, is it every year just trying to adapt to, like, in these little moves, or have the changes been way more around, hey, we're going to launch this new game and we need to do one big change or platform switch or, I don't know, internet or distribution platform? Does change for you happen incrementally or in step changes?
I think it is the endless tactical refinement. There is like a tactical layer, which is kind of changing, I don't know what to say, quarterly, half a year, yearly. It's like a tactical layer of like, okay, now this particular tactic, this channel, this message, etc. This way to manage reviews on Steam, this way, like that's kind of a tactical level that happens. Now it feels more like there's some strategic shift in how it is kind of to get to people and make them excited about joining a game. I think we can all throw out some straw men about like what is going on, from TikTok eating minutes of attention to 18,000 games on Steam coming out. Just fills the world with some abundance feeling where all that, or the black hole game theory, where people are just so stuck in their current black hole games, etc. I mean, I think we can all throw out straw men about like what is going on, but something is going on. So, I mean, as we have been taking this game we're now making to market, we just threw out the playbook of just what would we do for Eve, what would we have done 3 years ago, and we just like, we have to just reinvent everything. So, and that has been a long experimentation of like, okay, what is the whole performance social landscape like? What is the whole viral growth landscape like? What is the whole kind of built it with the community and engaging the community very early on? What is the meta like there? And I mean, some of it is building up to something that scales, but we very much kind of, okay, even if we've been doing this for 30 years, we're just gonna assume we know nothing. And we're just gonna relearn it from basics. We're just gonna figure out a bunch of stuff, see what works out, have theories about why it works out, see if we can scale it and all that. And we've spent this whole year doing a lot of these kind of things. And I would say, I mean, it's not like we have a playbook on how we scale it up next year, but we are getting to a point where it is developing into a playbook. But I mean, very intentionally, we started doing this very early. I mean, we're in some founder access with a pre-alpha version of the game. But also, like, even if the game is like that, and still, I mean, it's kind of a platform for modding and all that, so, I mean, people have plenty to do. But just how do we message that? And just to give you an example, like first when we made this development platform, which is built on top of a blockchain where we use the smart contracts in a way to make a server-side modding engine. So first we thought about like, okay, it's for third-party developers. People didn't really understand that. Then we went into, okay, you can mod the server in an MMO. And then people were like, okay, and now, okay, you can mod the server in an MMO without our permission. And now we have some like server permissionless modding is kind of the pointy edge of the spear. And like every time the message kind of, and there was a lot of other shit thrown at the wall, but when we got into the, okay, you can change the server in an MMO, so the game is different for everyone, and you can do it without our permission. Then people came kind of, okay, that, and this has been a long journey of figuring out like how can we make that value proposition, which is fairly unorthodox, very sharp, and so that it cuts through the very confusing landscape of all the endless amount of slop that is just filling up the world.
Cool. So probably 3 years ago, I asked you for some career advice. And you told me that up to that point, which was, I don't know, 2023, 2022, the job of a VC had been to find really talented leaders that could scale 50, 100-person organizations underneath them. And that from that point forward, the job of a VC was to find a team of 3 people that could use AI to do everything they had to do. Now, if I had followed that advice, we probably wouldn't have invested in you because it certainly hasn't taken 3 people to make Eve Frontier so far. A lot has happened in AI in the last 3 years. Is it time for me to actually follow your advice? And where do you think we are in AI for games today?
So I think we are, we're maybe at like the tool states kind of like, you probably all see it like, okay, now if you need to make a mood board, instead of going to ArtStation and Google and copying pictures and make a Miro board, etc., now the LLMs have already done it for you. They've already copied all the ArtStation pictures and all the Google images and whatever. So now you can just make the mood board like that instead of having somebody spend a week to make a mood board for something. Like now that is gone and you just get the results from prompting. There's a lot of just efficiency and managing information and these kind of things, documentation, coordinating teams. I've seen people do some like really cool sorcery with AI and Jira mixed together to kind of get a sense of where projects are at, etc. So I think we're in sort of just, the whole world is in this kind of AI can make stuff efficient. Then I think we're all having this kind of, okay, it's going to be making assets, it's going to be making things, it's going to be vibe coding and all that, and that's probably all going to happen. But then we are making efficient a system that is kind of more or less like the system we used to have. It has just taken a lot of the sort of bloat out of it and the redundancies, and it's become more efficient. And I think that is just happening automatically. If I look at my own company, we've not really been pushing any massive AI agenda. It just happens. People are just doing this because we need to ship games and make things, and it takes a while, and if there's a way to make it faster. And then if you look at what's going on in the AI overall, then we've been following like, okay, now AI can write text, it can make a picture, it can make a video, and now right now we're in the sort of world model states where people are trying to make world models to train AI inside their own latent space of embeddings, which they've derived from videos, etc. And I think in the year that we're about to roll into, we are going to be seeing the thing where now people are using AI to make a game that is not just more efficient than it was before. It's kind of a similar process, similar game, similar outcome, but it just gains efficiency. We're going to enter a world where humans could not make this game. And I think that will come out of this world modeling concept, which has a lot of like struggle to gain, like, okay, how do you make stable semantics? How do you express topology in an embedding in a latent space? Nobody can understand the latent space. I mean, it's not for humans to understand, and how can you make like deltas to it, and just predicting the next frame is not enough, like you saw in the sort of Minecraft hallucination demo, which, by the way, now is way better. But that showed both the strength and the weakness of this. And it is about to get cracked, how you can make stable semantics and then sort of hallucinations on top, etc. And this is going to happen next year because it just happened so quickly. And then I think we're in some world where it's very hard to predict exactly what it is, what does it feel like, etc. Because it's going to be a new format. It's going to emote like a game, just like TikTok emotes like a video, but TikTok is not a TV station. It's not a YouTube. It is something different. It involves videos, but there already you're seeing the mixture of media and AI. TikTok is that. There is an AI, not like an LLM AI, but an AI at TikTok that tricks your brain into engaging with it. And the game version of that is going to be some like sorcery. I think I've seen enough to think like. I think the best way to describe it, it is like navigating the mind of God. That's what it's going to feel like. And it is to some extent already feeling like that.
So I think there's a lot of B2B SaaS incumbents that look at vibe coding as a major threat, as you can build purpose-built software for an organization and disintermediate that whole thing. When it comes to games or more broadly interactive entertainment, what do you think is the role of vibe coding? What do you think that eats the market share of? And how do you think about shared context, virality, playing things with friends, versus the opportunity to fragment content and entertainment into ever smaller bits that are hyper-customized to who we are?
So I think, it's very dangerous, misleading to make these signifiers, labels on AI, like saying it's vibe coding, and then now we've been saying vibe coding for, I don't know, 8 months, let's say that. And maybe 8 months ago it was vibe coding. Now it is not that, it is something different. And when the tens of trillions of parameter models comes out, the context window will be so long that your whole code base is now the context window. Even line is like 10 million lines of code. At some point, it is just a context window of all the code in even line, and then you will gain perspective. It's, again, no human can have, unless they're more at an architect level, etc. But they can still not. Nobody can take, nobody can operate on 10 million lines of code to transmogrify them into something. And because the context windows have been short and it's been kind of frustrating, etc. Once you're at that level, you've now gained the tool, for example, with Eve Online, where we had 10 million lines of code that 4,000 people have written over 30 years. It's a lot to deal with. And the world is full of these kind of systems. And nobody can really, nobody has any agency in that. We're about to gain agency over it. And that, when people are making like a dated concept like it's vibe coding, again, just take, it's evolving so quickly. You should take great care in not getting stuck in a model you've made of this that is now half a year old. It just doesn't apply anymore. Yeah. So, when we think of that, vibe coding, we used to do paper prototypes. Now we just don't. We just, somebody makes a prototype and it takes a few hours, and now we're playing a prototype of the game like a paper prototype, except it's client server, there's a website, there's a leaderboard, and we're already playing a prototype of the game. That's a massive superpower. Oh my God, why these paper prototypes were cute. They are not like super productive, not compared to, okay? Here's just a website version of the game. We're playing it.
Then you
Somebody
will
spent
show
a
up
weekend of
venue.
doing it.
You
We're
will have
having
the
this
venue
moment again and
slide, the
again.
first two you
We
will
make like,
talking,
okay,
because it's you
somebody make a pitch
that
for a
we won't
game,
repeat each other.
no, a few
And then
concepts
the
of
last
game.
slide of
It's like,
venue, the
okay,
last two
here are
slides
10
I will be
ideas.
presenting.
Okay, these three will go wipe code
When
it
you
and we'll
finish,
play
I will just move
a week
to the
later.
last two slides that I'm
Like
adding a
that
little
process
bit
of
more
like
about our
discovering
work
what to do
together.
and all that has
Then
just
I will hand it
compressed
to
into
Lou.
like,
He will
and the
share
quality
about
of the
his
output is way
experience
better.
and point of view.
So,
And
and
then I will
again,
continue
okay, you
to
can
slide
use the
more
current
about
coding to
Lou,
do
and
that.
then
What you will be able
the
to do
tips
next
that
year
we-
is something else, and that needs another name. And that will be way different. And in this world, what will happen, and
We
that's
just
the,
changed it because after I spoke to Jasper,
that's the,
so
I don't
he
know,
said
the
that he
dystopic
thinks that
part,
it might be better
is,
that first you would
is,
share and then
all
you
the
would just
people which
tidy
are
up with what I say instead.
okay at their jobs
agree with
will
you.
not have jobs.
Yeah.
The people which are great at their jobs, they will just have 10x the value that they used to have. So
Okay.
we're going to end up with this. How does a junior becomes a senior? It's very hard to see, frankly. And how do the people which are kind of okay, which definitely have a role in
Okay.
modern game development. There's a lot of work that just somebody
Okay.
needs to do, but that work is going to go away. It's already kind of going away.
Last question. I'm going to
Thank
steal Jens's question,
And,
and we're going to see if we got a different answer on stage today.
and the clicker.
As someone who's been building games for 30 years or 20, well, 30 years, I guess, 20 years for the game to come out,
No,
would
no.
you rather
So
be a builder building a new
Okay,
game
just looking
today
forward, hopefully.
where you have the black hole games and the incumbents and the budgets are out of control and all that stuff, but you also have AI
Very
and
serious.
whatever
I
else?
didn't expect it to
Or
be.
15 years ago when you started? Which part or which time frame do you think was a more fertile ground to go build some cool shit?
I mean, absolutely today. I mean, I've been there, done that. I don't need to do the other thing again. Like, there's no challenge in that. I mean, for sure, there was challenge in that. But it's just kind of,
Okay, no worries.
now it is exciting because the distribution is broken,
So you have
creation
your
is
phone with you?
broken, attention is
You have your phone
broken,
with you, right?
it's
Let's
all
have a
broken.
selfie, 'cause mine is
And
over
that like requires some like real innovation to figure out that. Just like when we were, I don't know,
No, it's you.
30 nerds in Iceland that had never made a game.
Best team.
We hadn't even seen a game developer from afar. Like when Ivan Line ships, nobody on the team had like
Send it to
pointed
Gal.
at the game developer. Like
Then I'll get it.
and we just had to invent it, and that's why. I mean,
Send
Ivan
it-
Line is a
I'll send
weird
it to
ass
you on
game.
Slack.
Like I can say that
I'll
with
look
all my
into
love
it.
for Ivan Line. Like people often say to me, like, Hilmar, why don't you make it more like a game? What do you mean? Yeah, it's kind of like, where's all the game stuff in this game? And them being offended, etc. But I mean, the reason why Ivan Line has like gone on for, I don't know, 22 years by now.
Thank you.
20 million people have played it. It's made $1.5 billion. The reason why is because it is a game that was invented against all the norms. So now it feels like that. All the norms are gone, and even if I know them, some of them by now, I now know a little bit about how to make a game. Not so much though. Like, it's still kind of weird what we do. That feels like, okay, what a time to be alive. Now we need to dig deep and come up with some craziness. And that feels a lot more exciting rather than, okay, here's yet another genre that we're about to break into and all that, and have to follow some conventions about how that needs to be. I think it's quite exciting to be in this moment where none of what we used to know is very valuable right now.
What a time to be alive. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And with that, I'd like to invite Lee, Emily, and Lou to talk about scaling journeys.